Hi, everyone, and welcome to the peer-to-peer Facebook Global Digital Challenge virtual final competition. My name is Tony Scrow, the CEO of Adventure Partners, implementers of this program, and I will be your moderator this morning. On behalf of Facebook and the 3 university teams sharing their campaigns with us today, we appreciate you joining us to watch these important presentations. Let me first start by giving you a bit of the backstory to kick things off, especially for those that might not be familiar with this initiative. Since 2015, the Facebook Global Digital Challenge has empowered university students in 75 different countries to create and implement positive counter-speech campaigns to address hate, violence, and extremism young people see in their communities. So over the last 8 months, universities from throughout the world took on Facebook's challenge under extremely difficult COVID conditions, as we can all appreciate, and formed themselves into a real-life social media agency to create initiatives, products, and tools that they think is the best way to address targeted violence, hate, terrorism, and extremist recruitment in their local communities and countries. So what you will see today are the top 3 finalist teams from this year's Facebook Challenge. Joining us literally from around the world, we have Ankara University in Turkey, Baba Ghulam Shah Badshah University in India, and Xavier University in the Philippines. Now, ordinarily, this competition would be held live and in person somewhere internationally, but due to COVID, we have asked each university team to produce a 10 to 12-minute video presentation that showcases their 8-month-long project. Then after each video is played, each team will participate in a live 10-minute question and answer period with our distinguished judges, whom I will introduce shortly. Finally, after all 3 video presentations have been played and judges' questions have been answered, the judges will deliberate and determine who will be selected as the 3rd place, 2nd place, and ultimately the 1st place finisher of this year's Facebook Global Digital Challenge. It's going to be an exciting event, so let's all get started. Now, without further ado, let's all watch our first video presentation from Ankara University titled "Let Goodness Prevail."
İyilik olsun. İyilik olsun. İyilik olsun.
İyilik olsun.
İyilik olsun. İyilik olsun.
At present, goodness faces oblivion, the consciousness that doing good is purity prevails rather than the consciousness that doing good is the right behavior. Our primary goal is to change that perception. Instead, it's to separate the idea that goodness exists within every person, although it's not reflected in the behavior of individuals. Based on that, we created Let Goodness Prevail in order to reveal the good that's waiting to be awakened in every living person to shape society with love and goodness, and to create an environment of peace that extends from generation to generation. In order to understand love, act with kindness, and create goodness, the individual must first be part of society. Being with others is an important living opportunity to get to know yourself and the other. People deprived of these possibilities due to the pandemic, especially children, are unable to develop awareness of goodness, learn goodness, and lose faith in existing goodness by being at home, away from society and exposed to social media where the ego stands out. Based on our research, we found that there is a problem in understanding, implementing, and transferring goodness from generation to generation. To address this problem, we have put forward various campaigns targeting adults and children separately.
We listened to their philosophy of kindness by hosting the leading intellectual people of our country to the conference we held under the title Goodness Chats. Because of the spread of bad news on television and social media in general, we saw that people thought that there was no good in the world, and so we started sharing good news by showing people the good that has been done in our country and around the world. We have pursued and acted on the good that exists in them, waiting to awaken, in order to show people the philosophy of Anatolian culture based on kindness and love. We shared news about kindness from Anatolia. With this news, it was part of our hidden culture of kindness. We discovered this hidden treasure in Anatolia under the name of goodness. We wanted to teach children good by taking urban culture into the center. For this reason, we organized a painting competition for children together with Ankara City Council and Ankara Metropolitan Municipality, which are local service institutions of Ankara. The main topic of the contest was the advice and kindness of Hacı Bayram Veli, one of the Anatolian philosophers. This competition brought a big voice to city. It was encouraged by sharing the mayor. Over 1,000 entries took place in the painting competition. Every child is an artist, every painting is a work of art. We exhibit our children's paintings in the section we opened on our website.
We discovered that our goal of creating a society adorned with love and goodness is passed on to the children. And our most comprehensive project to create the awareness of kindness in children was the village of Minecraft of goodness.
Merhaba, hoş geldin.
Merhaba, İfalkart hoş geldin.
Merhaba Alperen, hoş geldin.
Merhaba, hoş geldin.
Göktürk, merhaba, hoş geldin.
Merhaba.
Merhaba, hoş geldin.
Merhaba, Buse çok hareketlisin bugün. Hoş geldin iyilik olsun köyümüze.
By turning the pandemic conditions into an advantage, we have created a permanent, sustainable, developable educational product on the digital platform. We have built this product with high school students aged 12 to 18 and made them talk about kindness and make them do good to their younger brothers. The Minecraft Kindness Village was an innovative virtual village where children between the ages of 6 to 12 could spend time and increase their awareness of kindness. In this game, which can be played in an interactive way according to the answers given by children, scenarios are organized according to the levels and needs of children.
Kitaptaki şeyleri seninle beraber temizleyelim mi? Bugün Ahmet öğretmene yardım edelim. Ahmet öğretmen
Olur.
bizden bunu rica etti.
Allah'ım daha havuçlarımı eklemedim bugün hasta olduğum için. Bana bu konuda yardımcı olur musun?
Alırım.
Teşekkür ederim. Hadi gidelim o zaman.
Hanımefendiyi takip edelim.
Also, in order to feel a sense of belonging, each child planted a tree before leaving our village online. The Minecraft Goodness Village has not only remained a virtual village, but with playing cards designed, we allowed children to practice kindness they did in the village in real life. This way, education was reinforced. We did not want Minecraft Village to remain an individual educational platform. We've made Minecraft Goodness Village a guide, making it playable collectively in educational institutions and classrooms. Even if our teachers who will review the guide do not have any knowledge, they will be able to follow the steps, the guide, and create a village of kindness and teach the children through scenarios of kindness. Minecraft's strengths are that it is innovative, product driven, and can bring out children's creativity. These two major projects cover our cultural values transferred from the past to the present, as well as address the future from an innovative, creative point of view. The common feature of our painting competition, which is the subject of the words of our Anatolian philosopher Hacı Bayram Veli, and the Minecraft Goodness Village, which have uncovered as an innovative original product that it reveals our cultural values and does this by highlighting the creativity of young people.
Our main communication tactics consist of persistence, multi-channel, and actionability. During the campaign, we pursued a persistent content sharing strategy. We have shown our followers that kindness always exists and that we are a content producer worth following throughout the various shares we make every day. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, website, YouTube, with all of the social media tools we can find, not only limit to Instagram by defining a multi-channel approach. In order to mobilize our followers, we asked them to be example by sharing their experiences. So they did the kindness task that came out in the filter by making an Instagram filter. We spent time together with children in the village of godness, instilling in them a consciousness of kindness, allowing them to take action in everyday life and strike out the thought of kindness.
Evet, benim bugün biraz yardıma ihtiyacım var Alperen. Bana yardım edebilir misin?
Yardım ederim.
Çok sevindim. Hadi o zaman beni takip edin, okulun bahçesine çıkalım.
Tamam. İyilik olsun bana çok şey kazandırdı. Mesela aileme güvenimi kazandırdı. Ondan sonra çevremdeki insanlara güvenim daha arttı. İyilik olsun benim yapay çevremi güçlendirdi. İyilik olsun aslında güzel bir sayfa. YouTube'da da çok beğendiğim bir sayfa yani. Günde 3-4 defa en son iyilik olsun izliyorum.
In creating our project, we based sustainability because in order for a social structure that is consistent of goodness to be formed, goodness must have a self-sustainable structure. Thanks to our website and tutorial guide, we have made the village of kindness, which we have created, a content that everyone can access and use. We have also contacted teachers and offered sport to play with children in classroom for educational purpose. We have designed Minecraft playing cards so that the experience gained at the village of goodness can become permanent. We have recorded the scenarios we play with the children who are guests of village of Get a Favor and shared them onto the YouTube channel of Get a Favor, and this made the content we create watchable at any time and on the ground.
In the future, by collaborating with Microsoft, we can create a challenge through the Goodness Village to solve the problem of goodness in the world and spread our virtual village to a wider audience. At the same time, we are continuing with our negotiations to publish experiences and educational work on the Minecraft education platform. In the following processes, we will introduce the Mayor of Ankara Metropolitan Province and the President Mansur Yavaş to the wider audience by broadcasting live via Twitch. If the pandemic conditions allow, we can display the paintings that have been awarded prizes in the painting competition that we have organized with the Ankara City Council. We reached a total of 2,101,824 people on social media in all the campaigns that we interacted with, a total of people of 95,389 people. We have a total of 3,280 followers on our social media accounts, and we reached a total of 1,125,862 people on the social media alone. Of these, we have interacted with 38,908. In addition, our posts and videos have received a total of 30,000 likes. On YouTube, we had access to 65,500 people, and our videos have been viewed 35,000 times with 4,396 hours. 11,669 people visited our website. 7,500 people used our Instagram filter. We reached 975,692 people with painting contests that we organized. And of those, we interacted with 56,481 people. Over 1,000 children participated in our painting competition, and we gave tablets to 70 children who made the best paintings, and all a book set to all who participated in the competition. We spent more than 50 hours with 40 children aged 6 to 12 visiting our village, and more than 100 hours with 12 children aged 12 to 18. Through our YouTube videos, we have accessed more than 50,000 children. We sent our guides and playing cards to 40 children who were guests of our village and to many educators throughout Turkey. As a result, how many children have been reached and how lives have been changed? We have seen a different method of education, and it has been shown that Turkey is an example, and many people around the world can be reached through this method. In real sense, Turkey is no longer the same. As a result, by touching lives of hundreds of children with our innovative educational method, we have shown that goodness exists that is still valuable to humanity, that doing good is not purity, that goodness will be a very important step towards lifelong self-realization. The training method that we have used is a method that is known in education but is not adapted to games. So we revised it and turned it into an innovative training method. Thanks to this method, children have gained first consciousness in the virtual world by the method of drama. Today, because of both the pandemic and despite the chaos and war of ambition brought about in postmodern world, we believe that we can integrate good children into their lives. This change will bring sustainability in the lives of the children. Turkey is not only a small step, more children will be taught kindness in different ways, and we will bring about the continuation of this step in the world.
Thank you, Let Goodness Prevail team. That was an excellent video and showcased a very powerful campaign. Really wonderful job. At this time, I would like to invite the Anchor University students, as well as all of our judges, to turn on your cameras and unmute your microphones so we can begin our question and answer period with the students. But before we get into the Q&A, and as you have not met our distinguished panel of judges, let me introduce you to them now. First, we have Nawab Osman, Head of Counterterrorism and Dangerous Organizations for the Asia Pacific region for Facebook, who joins us from India. Dr. Aaron Saltman, Director of Programming, the Global Internet Forum to Counter Terrorism, or as we say, GIFCT, as it is known. Aaron is formerly with Facebook and is one of the finest and brightest professionals in the terrorism and prevention field. Dr. Jacob, a dear friend of Adventure Partners, professor at American University, Nigeria, and is a Facebook Global Digital Challenge professor for the award-winning WAVE campaign, which stands for Women Against Violent Extremism Project, which still continues to this day in Nigeria. Next, we have Jordi Nijhuis, co-founder of Dare to be Grey in the Netherlands, which is a former first place Facebook Global Digital Challenge winner. And Dare to be Grey is now a successful and far-reaching NGO in Europe. And last, we have Teresa Krakmarova, president of Fakescape from the Czech Republic, which is another award-winning Facebook Global Digital Challenge campaign now operating successfully throughout all of Europe and in Asia, dealing with critical thinking and disinformation. So there's our distinguished judges. Now let me introduce the Let Goodness Prevail students before we get into the Q&A. We have Amit Sahin, Abuke Dasi, Gurkhan Agir, Hakan Demirol, and Tapiwa Last Nira. I hope I did a good job there. Please bear with me.
Yeah.
I would also like to recognize Professor Amit Nadim Sedensu, the student's professor this past year, because without you, we could not have this program. Okay, judges, just as a reminder, please ask your questions directly to the students. We have 10 minutes to ask questions, and everyone, try to keep your questions and answers relatively brief so we can include as many questions as possible. Who would like to start with the first question? If we don't have judges volunteer, I will start selecting them.
I'll throw a virtual hand up if others want to jump in. I'm so impressed with the amount of platforms. I remember when this started quite a few years ago now, but I won't date myself entirely. And it'd be really lucky just to have one Facebook page up or maybe one YouTube channel. And the fact that you guys are thinking about Twitch and on Minecraft and Facebook and YouTube and using Instagram filters, it's really great to see a cross-platform effort, because we know the problem is cross-platform. Nothing's just on one platform anymore. So really well done. I did have a question about the stories that you were highlighting and the fact that you were highlighting local, positive, wonderful community news and stories, and how you sourced those. So how did you get the stories and the positive goodness that you were highlighting, and how are you getting that constant feed of stories to highlight through your channels?
Thank you for the wonderful question. We used diverse methods to try and get these stories. We consistently checked the media every day, and we saw the goodness that was being done across the country, and we combined those stories. We turned it into content that we consistently shared on our online platforms. That is why our Instagram page and our YouTube and our all social media platform, even our website, was really lively and colorful.
Next question, judges.
I would like to commend all of you, dear students of Ankara University. I think this is a brilliant campaign. I really love it. It's almost spiritual, and it's there's a Zen-like profundity with this campaign, and I particularly like it. So well done to all of you for executing such a brilliant campaign. I have a couple of questions for you. First is your plans for scaling this up globally. I know you've talked about potentially working with Microsoft and expanding this beyond Turkey, but I really would like to see a bit more flesh and bones to that. How do you intend to scale this up beyond Turkey and perhaps globally? Then the second question is, I really would like you to tell us, did you encounter any sort of impediment or any opposition from your local community, perhaps local religious leaders or local opinion leaders or parents, perhaps? What sort of challenges or difficulties did you encounter in developing a campaign of this nature that that intersects in many ways, I believe, with personal and even religious attitudes and behaviors?
Can I kindly ask to translate for my colleagues?
Diyor ki yani sıkıntılarla karşılaştınız mı yani projeyi yaparken? Ondan sonra benimle ilgili bir soru sormuş. Microsoft ile yani çalışacaksınız. Bunu nasıl yapacaksınız? Önce bu soruyu cevaplayacağım. Tamam. Ondan sonra
Microsoft'tan sonra pandemiden
tamam.
So we scaled our project to work with Microsoft in the future, and we actually conceptualized this from the perspective that Microsoft already has some other programs that it runs which are related to games, and that actually gets the attention of the children. So come what may, children are going to play games. So taking advantage of that platform that has already been set by Microsoft, we're going to actually approach them for an engagement and a cooperation in which we can also possibly integrate our game in one of their platforms as a basis of a partnership with Microsoft. Doing so, the game can go global and education can go global, since Microsoft is already a global organization.
Great. Thank you. Another comment from the Ankara team?
Sorry, I don't know English, so Tapiwa will translate me. Pandemi bizim en çok zorlandığımız nokta oldu.
It was very difficult to implement the project because of the pandemic.
Çocuklarla beraber bir proje yaptık.
We did a project with the children.
Bu nedenle çocuklarla yüz yüze olmak istedik.
We wanted to meet with the children face to face.
Ancak Minecraft oyununu keşfettiğimizde ve köyü burada inşa ettiğimizde, iyiliği burada inşa ettiğimizde.
But we discovered Minecraft game and we tried to build from Minecraft game to meet with the children.
Bu dezavantajı avantaja çevirdik ve daha çok çocuğa ulaştık.
We turned this disadvantage to an advantage and we were able to reach a lot of children.
Pandemiden sonra ise bunu daha da avantaja çevirerek
after the pandemic, we intend to turn this also to an advantage.
Yerel kurumlardan Ankara Belediyesi ve Ankara Kent Konseyi ile festivaller düzenleyeceğiz.
With our local institutions in Ankara, we'll organize a festival.
Okay. Bittiğini söylemeyi unuttum öyle.
Well, thank you for that. I am now going to have Nawab, then Teresa, and Jordi in that order for the next questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Really, I think very impressive project, and the scale and the reach as well is really impressive. So when I first had a look at a project, I was wondering how you guys managed to reach those numbers, but also the different demography that you managed to sort of reach. And I think that that's really amazing, and is a really interesting project. I've got a question around sort of the sort of research question or problem, if I may ask. I'm just wondering whether you can tease that out slightly more. I mean, when you talk about, what exactly are you trying to sort of resolve, if you like, within Turkish society? I think there was some reference to how, Turkey, there's been some change in Turkey, and that it is going to be, through a project like this, we'll be able to play a more global role. So I'm just wondering whether the setting here is around sort of the historical issues, division between, let's say, the Alevis, the Kurds, and the Turks, some sectarian differences and those sort of things. Is that the problem you're trying to solve? If I may just, get you to sort of tease this out slightly more.
I will translate. Diyor ki siz hedef kitleriniz nasıl seçtiniz ve neden bunlar seçtiniz? Bir de Kürt falan, Kürt iş insanlardan bahsetmiş. Bunu mu çözmeye çalışıyorsunuz?
Hangi insanlardan?
İşte güneydeki insanlar.
Niye ben çevirsem? Biz iyiliği yaymaya çalıştık. İyilik kavramı üzerine çalıştık.
We worked to conceptualize the idea of goodness.
3 farklı hedef kitlemiz vardı.
We had 3 different target groups.
Birinci hedef kitle 6 ila 12 yaşları arasındaki çocuklardı.
Our first target group was the children between the ages 6 to 10.
Bu çocukları seçme nedenimiz iyiliğin soyut bir kavram olmasıydı.
We searched these children on the basis of the fact that goodness was an abstract idea.
Bu kavramı çocuklar bu yaşta öğreniyorlar. Somuttan soyuta geçiyorlar.
We discovered that they learn this idea of goodness at this age as an abstract, and they turn it to a reality.
Bu iyiliği en iyi öğrenebilecekleri yaş 6-12 yaştı.
We discovered that the children between 6 to 10 can best learn about goodness.
Diğer hedef kitlemiz 12-18 yaş.
Our other target group was between 12 to 18.
Kardeşlerine iyilik yapmalarını sağladık gençlerin.
We made sure that they will be able to do also goodness to their younger brothers.
Son hedef kitlemiz ise 18-44 yaş arasıydı.
Our last target group was 18 to 24.
Burada ise yetişkinlerin iyiliği anlamasını sağladık, derinlemesine bilmesini sağladık.
We also made sure that the adults will be able to understand what is goodness as well as how deep it is.
Amacımız ihtiyaç olan iyiliği insanlara doğru bir şekilde anlatmak.
We targeted to actually explain in the right manner to those who need goodness.
İlk önce kendilerine, sonra topluma iyilik yapmalarını sağlamaktır.
We made sure that they first do goodness to themselves and then later to the society.
Bunu çocuklardan başlatıp Minecraft köyünü kurarak
we started with children and created a Minecraft village of kindness.
Bir zincir oluşturduk ve gelecek nesillere seslenmeye çalıştık.
We created a concept and then we developed it to the next generation.
Oyunun devamında ise kartlarımızı kullanarak bütün eğitimi pekiştirdik.
We used the cards and we made education much more permanent.
Teşekkür ederim.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Teresa, and then Jordi, and then we will be done with this round of questioning.
Okay, thank you. I will try to be quick. So I have a question. How did you measure the impact of your campaign, and especially the village of goodness or kindness in Minecraft? How did you recognize any positive change in the behavior of participants, and what was the feedback? Thank you.
Soruyor ki nasıl ölçüleriniz nerelerdir? Nasıl bildiğiniz yani yapmak istediğiniz şeyler ya da hedeflerinizi nasıl ulaştınız, nasıl girdiniz diye soruyor.
Aktif olarak 40 çocukla Minecraft oynadık.
We played actively with the children.
Bu çocukların hepsine kartlar yolladık.
We also sent them the Minecraft cards.
Bu kartların üzerinde ölçme ve değerlendirme notları bulunuyor.
We also have the points for measurement and evaluation on these cards for the children.
Bu notları dolduran ebeveynler sayesinde etkili bir eğitim verdiğimizi gördük.
We noticed that as the children filled these cards with their parents, they have learned something and there's behavioral change.
Ayrıca 1600 tane öğretmene Minecraft kılavuzunu verdik.
We managed to also give these cards to 1,600 teachers around Turkey.
Ve hepsinin sınıflarında bu oyunu oynamasını sağladık.
And we made sure that they play these cards in their classes every day.
Onlardan dönüşümüz bu soyut iyilik kavramını çok iyi bir şekilde öğretebilen bir eğitim sistemi olduğuydu.
They have given us the feedback that through this method they have managed to teach goodness very well to the children.
Ayrıca YouTube videolarımızda da 50.000 çocuğa ulaştık.
And also on our YouTube we managed to reach 80,000 children.
Great, thank you. And Jordi, thank you for your patience, and you have the honor of the last question.
Awesome, thank you so much, Tony. And thank you, Ankara, thank you for this wonderful campaign. I think it totally fits the COVID-19 frame. Sharing some goodness and promoting goodness both on and offline is definitely needed. I do have one final small question, and it's about your outreach strategies. Did you have any specific outreach strategies to kids or minorities who are not likely to be engaged with projects like these, or to groups who are maybe lacking internet connection? Thank you.
Translate. Tamamdır. Diyor ki internet olmayan insanlar nasıl ulaştınız? Çünkü Covid pandemi var ya.
Tamam. Biz 1000 kişinin katıldığı bir resim yarışması düzenledik.
We actually organized a painting competition in which 1,000 children participated.
Bu resim yarışmasının teması Hacı Bayram Veli ve iyilikti.
The basis of this painting competition was the words of our philosopher Hacı Bayram Veli.
Ankara Büyükşehir Belediyesi sponsorluğunda düzenlediğimiz bu resim yarışmasında 70 tane tablet dağıttık.
We also organized this painting competition being supported by Ankara University, and we distributed tablets to the children who participated.
Bu tabletler sayesinde internet sorununu çözmeye çalıştık.
Because of these tablets, we managed to actually solve the internet challenge to those who cannot reach internet.
Pardon. Ayrıca interneti olmayan çocukların yanlarına gittik.
We also went to the children who did not have internet and we were close to them physically.
Ankara Belediyesi kadın sığınma evlerinde kadın sığınma evlerindeki çocukların yanlarına gittik.
We also went to the house where women stay in Ankara, and we spent time with their children.
Çocuklarla beraber Minecraft oynadık, onlara hediyeler aldık.
We played Minecraft together with their children, and we bought gifts for them.
Ulaşabildiğimiz kadar çok çocuğa ulaştık ve hepsine yardım etmeye çalıştık. İyiliği öğrenme adına yardım etmeye çalıştık.
We also reached the children that we could reach, and we helped them to learn about kindness, and we did what we could do to reach those who do not have internet connection.
Hem ekonomik düzeyi yüksek olan çocuklara hem de dezavantajlı çocuklara bu sayede ulaşmış olduk.
We managed to reach the children who are economically disadvantaged, and because of this, we were able to do that.
Okay, I can see that we have so much interest in your campaign, but unfortunately, the clock is ticking. And in fairness to the remaining two teams, we will extend their Q&A period as well. I want to thank the judges for your very excellent and probing questions, and also for the Ankara University team, outstanding campaign, and congratulations. I would like to you're welcome. I would like to now ask all students and judges to please turn off your cameras and mute your microphones so we can introduce our next campaign, Say No to Fake News, from Baba Ghulam Shah Badshah University in India.
In today's world, every Tom, Dick, and Harry talks about concepts like propaganda, conspiracy theory, and fake news. And all of these revolve around information, its nature, and its flow. And the fact remains that the information is not always correct. It can sometimes be false because of the fact that information is available in abundance from unlimited number of sources, and all of these sources are not reliable.
The spread of information has become easier with the usage of social networks. The information that is spread can be true or false. Misinformation and disinformation are two types of diverse information. In misinformation, the user is unaware of the authenticity of the information that is shared, while as in disinformation, the user deliberately shares the false or fake information.
Fake news is usually fabricated and propagated for political advantage, financial gains, or just for fun. And as this hoax and bogus increases, it puts the peace and harmony at risk. Fake news creates panic, conflict, and chaos, and leads to riots, violence, and even deaths. So we should always care before we share, and we should always try to check the source, date, quality, and the context of the news. And instead of taking the headlines and images at their face value, we should always try to go into the details. That's how we can say no to the fake news.
To the best of our knowledge, less work has been done in countering the propaganda and fake news. We started the campaign entitled Say No to Fake News to counter the fake news and propaganda in India.
India, being a country known for its diversity, has got people from numerous cultures and religions. And because of this diversity of various grounds, India is prone to many forms of conflicts, propaganda like interfaith conflicts, geopolitical rifts, cultural exclusions, and many more. In almost every state of India, except a few, there have been lots and lots of violent conflicts which are direct or sometimes indirect results of fake news and propaganda. So, this has formed the main theme of our campaign. The main idea is to help people to enable them to distinguish between real and fake news by educating them about how to evaluate the sources of information.
Some of the notable studies by Qatar Computing Research Institute highlighted the issue of propaganda and fake news. The studies concluded that most of the fake news and propaganda are shared during the trending events that occur around the world.
In pursuit of accomplishing the main mission of the campaign, we had some specific objectives or goals. Firstly, promotion of the campaign. The prime objective we worked upon was to spread among the masses and make sure that people know about our campaign so that they could follow and support us. Next, having a minimum serious audience. The target audience that we identified have to be trapped, and hence we worked for getting our target audience into the picture. Next, connecting our target audience, having our desired audience as well as unexpected people in our audience. We try to connect to them by feeding them the content and information that would like so as to keep them interested in our campaign and to have some mutual respect. Moreover, connecting to the audience, we also necessarily for real success of the campaign, that is to create the awareness against fake news. Building rapport among the influencers of our society, we connected and met the few young personalities like musicians, poets, and video jockeys and motivated them to support our campaign. Social media reach. All these proceedings objectives were oriented towards making pitch perfect for bringing our campaign into action and pertaining to main process of delivering main content of the campaign. The main objective was to maximize the social media reach. In these hard times of crisis, the major focus was on online and virtual mode of interactions, and henceforth the social media reach has been pivotal importance of our campaign. Conversations and interactions with audience. We strived hard to get into interactions with our audience at various public as well as personal levels so as to improve understanding and relationship with our audience. This helped us in anticipating what exactly the audience think about our campaign and expect from it. And lastly, educating target audience. The prime goal of our campaign has been influence the thinking and attitude of our target audience that particularly included the youth. The influence we intended to make our audience included making them aware about the fake news and about entire gamut of fake news and propaganda.
Target audience.
The primary target audience for our campaign is the users of social media in J&K in particular and across the globe in general, mainly the young people of age group 15 to 35 years who are vulnerable to get influenced or used in the curse of disinformation and fake news on such platforms. Key message. The key message that we try to communicate to our target audience is that it is extremely important to scrutinize what we are fed through various media, be it television, print media, or even social media. It has now become essential to check the authenticity and the sources of information that has been presented as news because of the fact that most of the news nowadays is fake and is part of some propaganda.
The core strategy of our campaign was to connect with our audiences and to bring about a change in their behavior by educating them about the concept of fake news, its causes, consequences, and remedies. The campaign had to operate in a situation where the physical interactions, public movement, and the public gatherings were restricted because of the lockdowns, guidelines, and SOPs for the prevention of COVID-19. And keeping in view these COVID crises and other factors like time, money, and manpower, we focused more on the virtual platforms and employed social media for organizing most of our events. We use social media not only for organizing the activities but also as a marketing tool for the promotion of campaign and to reach out more and more people. We organized various online competitions like tagline writing, content writing. Apart from that, we had discussions, debates, and webinars so as to foster useful information and knowledge among the participants as well as the audiences. The focus was on the careful implementation of the plans, and to ensure the quality of the content that we posted on the social media, we had a few team members designated for the content creation and moderation only. This helped us in retaining the existing audiences and in attracting new people towards our social media.
An overwhelming response was witnessed throughout the campaign. The various strengths of our campaign are as follows. Number one, social media response. We received a huge amount of positive response from our targeted audience, which boosted our morale and encouraged us to perform more patiently. Number two, celebrity endorsement. Some famous personalities like singers, artists spoke for our campaign. Number three, public support. Local bodies and public representatives cooperated as well as promoted our campaign. Number four, internal support. Our university was very much supportive for our campaign. Last but not the least, team spirit. We had the best people from our university, and all of us have shown the tremendous team spirit throughout the program. Even during the pandemic times and internet restrictions in our valley, the team performed very well and organized various activities in the best possible way.
As part of our campaign, and to enable more active participation of people in our campaign, we created online pledge system. Online pledge system enabled people to take pledge and get a certificate and a shareable link of the certificate in different formats. Over 1,000 people took our online pledge and got their certificate of pledge. It included people from different parts of the region. We are committed to support different organizations around the globe. We have open sourced the code of e-pledge system. This will help many other organizations and campaigns around the world to create similar e-pledge system and have more active participation of people in their campaigns. We will continue to support open source community by open sourcing more and more tools in the future.
As far as the expenses of the campaign are concerned, 14% of the total budget was spent on stationery, 35% of the budget was spent on printing and designing, 18% of the budget was spent on offline promotion like mementos, and 3% of budget was spent on websites, and online advertisement 28%, and for IT subscription like Zoom 2% was spent.
I'm glad to share with you the metrics and reach of our campaign on different social media and other platforms. These are the metrics and numbers of our campaign on social media and other platforms. With over 3 lakh impressions on Facebook and about 14K impressions on Twitter, We reached more than 2.5 lakh people on Facebook and above 15k people on Instagram. Our website received more than 70k hits and over 1000 pledges were taken.
Thank you to the Say No to Fake News team for your important campaign. And as we all know, it showcases a problem that virtually every country of the world is facing. Now I'd like to ask the students and all our judges to turn on your video and microphones. Now let me introduce the students from India. We have Akib Kande, Bisma Ijaz, Faisal Fahim Khan, Nasim ul Haq, and Bikas Shaber. I'd also like to recognize Professor Danish Iqbal Reina, the student's faculty this year, and a very good friend of Adventure Partners. Jordi, since you were so patient during the last round, I'm going to throw the first question to you, and judges, just please be mindful. We will be extending the Q&A period again, just in a sense of fair play. So Jordi, please.
Great, thank you so much. And thank you, Say No to Fake News team. Exciting campaign. I think, again, this makes total sense through the COVID-19 lens. A lot of misinformation, disinformation going around. I would like to compliment you on a well-designed campaign. It looks neat, it looks concise, very well done. I do have a question about impact. And that's, of course, a very challenging question. But did you make an effort to measure the impact you had in your target audience beyond social media analytics? How did you know you actually educated your target audience? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thanks, sir. Actually, what we do, since Facebook doesn't provide the data due to which we realized or analyzed our Facebook friends, which we targeted. And we see a slight change in their behavior by sharing. First, they were sharing misinformation, disinformation. Now, after our campaign, they share less amount of misinformation and disinformation. We we analyzed a huge amount of change in their behavior. That's why we got the impression of our campaign.
Great, thank you. Judges, next question, please. Erin?
Sure. I mean, thank you so much. I think one of the toughest things about this topic that you chose is that it's very hard to define, and it's also very hard to say, okay, we know fake news is out there, but how do we know what's fake? And then what do we do about it? And so I would love to know a little more of you. You know, I've been going through your social media accounts, and sometimes you give very specific examples about the government saying openly that something is fake. And I see you also have posted about how to deal if someone is spreading misinformation. But some of the other content, I was wondering how you tried to tell people what to look for to try to know that something was fake. Because I guess the hard part now is that if something looks good, it feels true, but that's the problem with misinformation. So what were some of the ways you got people to question whether or not something was fake, or if you were able to provide them information to guide them in knowing what was fake?
Yes. Firstly, I analyzed it as a researcher. I have written a paper, research article of Kumar, which has defined that we can find or we can say a message or a post fake if we can check his four information. That is the first is the coherence of the message. What is the coherence of the message? Second is consistency. Third, the way we send that message to experts. For example, if some news is regarding politics, we send that to the political analyst. He analyzes it. He gives us whether this is fake or not. And we also search it, whether it has come from credible source or non-credible source, due to which we got our content and we posted that in our campaign.
Great, thank you. Tedetsa, I'm going to throw the question to you.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. It was very great. And the topic of fake news is so relevant right now. I have one question for you, and that's how would you scale up your project? I mean, do you have any future plans with your project? And especially, do you plan some offline activities in the future? Thank you.
First thing is that how we can detect it. Since we have the latest trends, latest technologies, like we have machine learning, we have deep learning, due to which we can detect the propaganda or fake news. First, we need to detect them. Once we detect them, we can then globally scale it to how we are going to counter it. Because in propaganda, the messages are not only related to the politics. It may be related to some person or some author or some actor, etc., celebrities. So first we need to detect it. We are planning to implement a machine learning or deep learning model to detect first it and then counter it, due to which we can scale it to the world level, or it may be included in the social media platforms.
Great, thank you. Nawab, you're next. Thank you.
Guys, thank you very much. It's a very difficult project to start with in terms of how you define, as Erin said. It's especially difficult because you are all in India, and India has been in the front line, if I may say, one of the worst examples of misinformation and disinformation. I've got two questions. One is, you guys mentioned that you had some engagements in terms of webinar and a couple of online campaigns. If you could just sort of tease that out slightly. The second is that how do you deal with misinformation, or how do you, and this is something, I suppose, being in the context that you can't run away from. How do you deal with misinformation and disinformation that is spread by actors that are, either directly or indirectly linked to governments, to state actors, essentially?
Yes, sir. Firstly, we talk about these webinars, discussions, and debates, and other offline activities that we try to organize amid these conditions because of this pandemic. These were basically intended to make more detailed interactions with the audiences, so as to know about what their level of awareness about the fake news is, or whether they know what exactly fake news is and how does it look and how we can analyze it and how we can deal with it. So the main motive was to let them know and to make their level of awareness to increase. So we tried our level best to make them understand how actually we go for the analysis of the sources of the news, and we literally check the information whether we should go by it or we should discard it. That was the main motive of these activities of webinars and all. We invited various students and local people and teachers and other also stakeholders and other parties from the society, like stakeholders, like leaders and all, to those, so that we can have a healthy discussion with them. So that was the main idea about the webinars and all. So what was your second question, sir? Please, can you repeat that?
How do you deal, or rather, how do you plan to deal with disinformation and misinformation that is spread by entities that are linked?
Yes, sir. We basically have two types of, we have two strategies for that. First one is technically we can go for machine learning, so that this can be used in the social media platforms that would automatically detect this and discard the fake news by going through the sources and going through where the sharing person is a bot or it's a real user of the social media. And it can be technically done. So apart from that technical aspect, we make people understand the importance of knowing the sources. And when we are exactly sure that this information is fake and we should not share it, and by prohibiting that sharing of unnecessary forwarding of that false information, we can get rid of the harmful impact of that fake news. I guess that's it.
Great, thank you. Dr. Jacob.
Thank you so much. Dear students, I think this is another brilliant campaign, and as has been indicated already, on a very topical issue and a difficult one at that. So well done for putting together such an excellent campaign. You indicated that your target audiences were young people between the age of 15 and 35. Can you speak more to why you selected this particular demography, and were you also interested in perhaps the educational level or the level of political exposure or their political interest? But would you tell me why specifically you targeted this particular group, and what the indicators are in your community about those that are most vulnerable to fake news?
Yes, sir. It's a general notion that the age group of 15 to 35 years, they are more vulnerable to get influenced in social media. That's why we choose the 15 to 35, young age peoples for the campaign.
Judges, another question. We still have some time, please.
I'm always happy to throw in more questions.
Great.
Because I just find all these campaigns so fascinating, and you're tackling such big topics with very little resource, and I really appreciate it. I was wondering if you had any anecdotes about how people responded to your campaign. So maybe some just positive qualitative story or two about, how the engagement helped someone, how people were reacting, because oftentimes it's hard to know, viewership, but when people engage and comment, that's when you really get those deep qualitative metrics.
Our main aim was to change the thinking of audience so that they don't share the content that is not true, actually.
May I?
Would somebody like to add to that comment?
Yeah, one more thing is that we made a pledge system, e-pledge. We received an overwhelming response for that, due to which we communicated or we educated our target audience, and they took the e-pledge, by which we get an impression that in future, they are not going to share or they are not going to spread misinformation or disinformation. And we have given them that please do check the source, authenticity and consistency, and also do verify the news.
Great, thank you. Judges, any other questions?
Sure, yeah, happy to. So I think fake news is, of course, a very sensitive topic for some people because we're talking about beliefs and opinions. Did you encounter any negative backlash, maybe?
No, sir, actually not. We didn't have much backlash or opposition for this, because it's a general notion that people know that fake news is not good to spread or it is harmful for the society. But the fact remains that the people are not aware about how to deal with that, or how to locate or identify what is fake. And if a person knows what is fake, he will not do this, because his mentality, his consciousness, and whatever religion he belongs to will not allow him to do that thing. So what we were telling people to do, that was not against somebody or against some religion or party. It was well entertained by the audiences, and it was great.
Great, thank you. Time for 2 more questions, please.
I'll just
yeah. So I mean, I want to follow up to my earlier question, and specifically for the kind of debates that you had, and what were the sort of discussion that you have in those debates? But what were you debating essentially? If you could just tease that out.
Yes, actually, the debates we had, the basic theme was about fake news. All these discussions and debates were revolving around this basic theme. So for the debate, one of the debates we had what are the consequences of fake news? This was about to discuss. And in another debate we had, what are the different causes? And another, it was for what can be done to deal with this fake news. And in that debate, we had many more young minds that were giving us more and more ideas about how to deal with it. So it was like pulling up the ideas from the audiences so that we can put it back into the society. Like, it was like that.
Great, thank you. And Dr. Jacob, you have the last question for this session.
Thank you. Fake news generally, in most cases, tend to intersect with political interests and political divisions in society. Did you notice any patterns at all of the fake news in your society? And did you have to also deal with the political undercurrents of fake news there?
Can you please repeat the last line? I didn't get that.
Did you also have to deal with any kind of political undercurrents that may be part of the fake news industry there, if I'm to call it fake news industry?
Yes, sir. So actually, not like that. We didn't have to face any major opposition, we didn't have to deal with such parties, because when a political party or a political agenda is associated or based on fake news and the circulation of fake news, that those people don't do it openly. It's like that. They won't come to they won't come to oppose whoever is saying the truth. And it was more like creating the awareness about this fake news, and it was not a direct hit on the political propaganda at all.
Wonderful, thank you. I've personally had a very strong interest in fake news ever since Mercer University, of which Teresa is the president of Fakescape, was the first team to really tackle misinformation and disinformation. And it's wonderful to see similar Facebook teams carry on in the spirit of what her group has started. So congratulations to the team, and judges, I'd like to thank you once again. If both the students and the judges could turn off their mics and video feeds, I would like to now introduce our last and final video from the Mindanao is Youth campaign in the Philippines. So JC, let it roll.
Violence, hate, recruitments. Over the years, the presence of these social ills continues to disrupt the life and the future of the Philippines' second largest island, Mindanao, home to priceless cultural heritage, 18 diverse ethnic tribes, and more than 1,000 breathtaking wonders. Mindanao is dubbed as a land of promise. It is a melting pot of culture and religion, home to 25 million Mindanaoans. Despite this, Mindanao is never exempted from conflicts. In fact, we have it worse perennially. We have long been strained with an early negative narrative, a hotspot of insurgency in the Philippines and in Southeast Asia. The COVID-19 pandemic has made it worse. Our youth has become easier targets for recruitments because of the stronger presence of violent extremists online. They view the pandemic, a time of isolation, stress, and confusions, as a perfect opportunity for expansion. And this is where I Am Mindanao comes in.
Hello there, I am Joshua.
I am Nathalie.
I am Stu.
I am Zeline.
I am Marigan.
I am Mindanao.
I Am Mindanao is a social media campaign that seeks to counter violent extremism and hate speech in Mindanao through providing safe spaces for positive messaging. For the last 5 years, we have multi-strategically educated and capacitated the youth in various sectors, those in universities, in high schools, and even with those closest to our hearts, our mothers, an effort to veer them away from the threats of violent extremism and hate speech. I Am Mindanao serves as a protector of our community's dream by helping them find their sense of purpose and honing their potentials to utilize as a second barrier against the threats of violent extremism and hate speech.
The COVID-19 pandemic inevitably caused everything to be online.
hampering movements and hence social face-to-face interactions. Alarmingly, the domino effect is evident. As people spend more time online, so do violent extremists, doubling their efforts in recruiting those with hopeless sense of purpose in life, instigating a culture of hate speech and spreading violent contents, especially on the dark web and even Facebook. The study of the Asia Foundation and Rappler in 2020 shows that violent extremist activities on social media remain a security concern in the Philippines, particularly in Mindanao, where the rate of illiteracy is still unfortunately high. This culture of hate and violence has been manifested in the youth that we have encountered through the stories that they have shared with us, as well as in many others documented and even undocumented by Philippine media throughout the decades. With a spike of recruitments and hate speech amid a pandemic, I Am Mindanao's mission was simple and clear: to provide safe online spaces with positive contents for our young people. We have focused our campaign efforts on capacitating our online youth to become peace-promoting and discerning social media users through the three flagship goals of the campaign. 1. Reach 300 active youth online from 10 localities in Cagayan de Oro City and Misamis Oriental through an interactive, participation-driven online activities that engage themselves in the mission of peace building online. 2. Educate and build capacities to 300 youth about susceptibilities to violent extremism online and their significance in promoting peace, positive messaging, and countering hate speech online to their communities. 3. Gather 100 stories from the youth online, amplifying their efforts and how youth are at the core of peace building.
There is victory in vulnerability. Our target audience is the at-risk online youth aged 15 to 24 years old from Cagayan de Oro City and the Misamis Oriental province in Mindanao. Because schools in the Philippines had to shift to modular learning and online classes, this meant that the youth would have more exposure to the internet while at home. Most of the time, these online consumptions go unsupervised, thus making them easy targets to hate speech and violent extremism online.
To add, other factors have made our target audience especially vulnerable to these problems. Firstly, they are vocal on social media. They post their problems online. Some even post sentiments of hopelessness and losing drive to go on with life. Second, they spend at least 5 hours on social media daily, where they easily share personal information about themselves and even their family. Lastly, they easily engage with strangers and find a sense of belongingness by being bandwagoners, for riding on the trend, even for the ones uncalled for.
Though vulnerable, the study from UNESCO seems like a light at the end of the tunnel. It shows how youth empowerment and opportunities for participation are key components in building their resilience. With this, we have seen that our youth are the world's most crucial asset in peace building. With the key message, Mindanao is youth, in the new normal, I Am Mindanao believes that the youth continue to be at the core of peace building even when they are most vulnerable online.
Our campaign has always considered impact and sustainability as the two most important aspects in shaping our strategies. For our impact strategies, we've used two approaches: education and empowerment. First, we've launched our publicized and accessible learning kits on Facebook that provides modules and workshops for them, combining counter-speech, education, and specialized training on how to create and mobilize your own advocacies and social media campaigns in the long run. Our more than 70,000 followers in social media were able to access the learning kits, free, and can also be downloaded. We also empower our online community with the goal of gathering stories championing against violent extremism and hate speech online and in their communities. From gathering 100 stories, we have received 204 significant stories from our youth.
Secondly, we've also initiated activities that provided an avenue for youth to engage in positive and peaceful discourse with other young people and share their stories, each one emphasizing their role in countering violence, empowering them to become champions of peace in their communities and online. Activities like hashtag Picture Perfect Photo Challenge, My Piece for Peace Essay Writing Contest, Mindanao is Youth Poster Making Contest, Hashtag Praising Peace Poetry Contest, Peace R, Peace Icons, and Peace Storia, receiving overwhelming entries from our youth.
For sustainability, we trained 309 youth from more than 30 localities in Cagayan de Oro City, Dumaguete City, and the Misamis Oriental Province. We've also partnered with 9 organizations and institutions.
For our preliminary research, we surveyed 150 youth online before our campaign initiatives. All our questions were specifically formulated to assess their existing levels of knowledge, attitude, and behavior in promoting peace and countering hate speech online. On day 1 pre-campaign, we found that only 78% of the respondents had pre-existing knowledge of the importance of their roles in the peace movement, 73% in terms of attitude, and 75% in terms of behavior. After our initiatives, we administered the same survey to the same 150 respondents. 100 of those respondents were experimental group, whom we included in our campaign activities, and the remaining 50 people were our control group who were not included in any of our activities. By day 50 post-campaign, we found that our control group obtained 79% in terms of knowledge, while our experimental group obtained 90%. In terms of attitude levels, our control group obtained 73%, while our experimental group 85%. Lastly, when it came to behavior levels, our control group obtained 75% and our experimental group 88%. This notes that our control group showed little to no improvement in their levels of knowledge, attitude, and behavior. Meanwhile, we found a significant positive change in our audience or experimental group.
Now, time for a budget breakdown. For this installment, the team has spent 23% on advertisements that include Facebook and Instagram boosting, which our target audience are often residing, 70% on merchandise consisting of limited edition shirts, customized tote bags, pens, ball pens, and mugs as additional incentives to our target audience, and 7% on the operational supplies of the organization.
To continue the impact and sustainability of I Am Mindanao, we had critically assessed the opportunities to scale to better mobilize the mission of the campaign. We aim to make an even more ambitious move and include our youth outside of our schools and universities, as they too play a crucial role in promoting peace online and in their communities. We will also ramp up our efforts in producing community-based podcasts where our audience would listen to our peace stories using their phones via Spotify, as this platform rose in popularity in the country. We will also intensify our promotion to peace and inclusivity by launching a virtual peace-building town halls and a week-long celebration. Next year, we are also proud to announce the future partnership of I Am Mindanao between Research Institute for Mindanao Culture of Xavier University and the Department of Social Welfare and Development to help us mobilize our mission in countering violent extremism and hate speech, both off and online.
Our youth have continued to show us that even with their vulnerability to become targets for violent extremist activities, recruitments, even in the midst of a global health crisis, they emerge victorious as our champions of peace. Truly, Mindanao is youth. With our rooted motivation, I Am Mindanao presses onward a peaceful Mindanao free from violent extremism.
I Am Mindanao.
Thank you, Team Mindanao is Youth, for an excellent video, excellent campaign. I am absolutely delighted to see the sustainability of the program over the years. I mean, it's taken root, it's growing. Congratulations to you all. So now we invite our judges and all the students to join us for the last session of Q&A. Here are the students from Team Mindanao is Youth: Marianne Alcala, John Carcosia, John De Los Reyes, Nathalie Paler, and Zealand Bertudazzo. I would also like to recognize Professors Marvin Pamisa and Rochelle on Barranquillas, the students faculty this past year. So judges, please, Nawab, why don't you start? I see your hand.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, I loved the video. It was very sleek, very professionally done. Really sent very clearly set out the sort of problem they're trying to solve, and clearly shows matrix and so on. So I love that about your video in particular. I'm also particularly interested because obviously Mindanao is a big chunk of the kind of work that I do at Facebook. So I'm really interested with the kind of work, the way you identify the problem, the way you want to approach it, and things like that. I want to just ask in terms of, and the only reason why this becomes relevant is because of the dynamics in Mindanao itself. I'm not as familiar with some of the regional areas that you highlighted, but I'm just wondering in terms of demography, what kind of demography are we talking about? Because the way I understand the South of Philippines is fairly disparate, where in some areas you have, a majority Moro population. In fact, it's very tribal as well. You might have the Tausug and in some areas, the Maguindanao and some others and so on. So I'm just wondering whether you had a breakdown, at least in terms of sort of the religious background of some of the students, because while we have a problem with Islamist extremism, which obviously is a serious one, increasingly we are also seeing trends around Islamophobia and Christian sort of militia groups and so on. So I'm just wondering how you approach that.
Right. Actually, Mindanao is a very diverse island in the Philippines. It's part of the three islands, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. In Mindanao, there's what we call the Tri people, which consists of the Muslims or the Islams, the Christians, and our indigenous people. So it's a very culturally diverse and religiously diverse area. And because of that, a lot of issues arise, especially with problems on land and other matters as such. So really, it's an ongoing problem for years and years now. And through I Am Mindanao, we wish to use our campaign to spread the message of peace all over Mindanao, especially towards our youth.
Great, thank you. Jordi, please.
Thank you. And let me just echo that I really enjoyed the video as well. Very clear, very slick. Great campaign, guys. It seems like you're working on the prevention angle, which seems to work greatly. I do have a question about kids who engage in hate speech or maybe are flirting with radical ideas already. Did you have any approaches towards that?
So the way we approached young people encountering hate speech and violent extremism in Mindanao is that we localized it, and then we made sure that the information that we relayed to them was really simplified and in a way that it was close to their hearts. And so yeah, it was really simplified and it was really localized, and we also did some background research on them as well. And we actually found that the majority of our target audiences encountered some sort of violent content or hate speech online or in their communities, and some don't even know it until we actually conducted our surveys.
Great, thank you. Erin, please.
Yeah, I'll reiterate, the video is very impressive, and then I saw you all pop up with your matching backgrounds. So whoever's doing your design and implementation and logo design, there's already big bucks in this. You already have a future outside of CV. I would just, two really quick questions. One is that you'd mentioned that you even started partnering beyond what you were doing, and there were 9 organizations or institutions. Just a little more about what those institutions are that you're going to be partnering with. And the other question you mentioned a safe space online, which is very hard for some people to find. So how did you balance what you made public about your initiative versus what you kept private and in private communications to make it maintain staying safe, but trying to also make other people aware that they should come to the space? So how did you balance what was public and what was private?
All right, with our campaign, we were actually able to partner with 9 universities and institutions, and in total, 309 participants from all over 30 localities here in Mindanao and even beyond Mindanao, including Visayas. So, actually, apart from that, we're seeking to partner, or we're already in the process of partnering with those institutions for the upcoming school year in the Philippines, which is in August. So we're looking forward to establishing another set of activities for them and their students. And then, of course, with our U Caravan, that's the part where we have our private breakout sessions that we cannot share publicly because it was very personal for them, because they were able to share their experiences of violent extremism, which we really thought I Am Mindanao holds a very special, a very important role of um, holding a discourse for this.
Thank you. Jacob.
Thank you. This is another brilliant campaign. So well done to all of you. I just have to re-echo the comments and sentiments about your video. I think that was brilliant. When I saw that, I was, oh, wow, that's really good. So well done to all of you. That's excellent. And your campaign itself is really beautiful. I particularly like the idea of I Am Mindanao. I think considering the diversity of Mindanao, it's understandable for there to be a sort of a collective identity around specific values and ideals that everybody within that community can aspire to. So brilliant. Well done. Now, I have a couple of questions though. In terms of impact, you identified a particular group that you had as the control and the treatment group, and I can understand the need to limit that group. Would you tell me more about the length of exposure that your treatment group were exposed to? For how long did you expose that treatment group to your materials? And would you think that the length of exposure had some form of impact on their overt responses in terms of the knowledge, attitudes, and behaviors that you described? Then, secondly, aside from this limited group, is there any other kind of impact more at the macro level in Mindanao? You said this campaign has been going on for some 5 years, he said. So over this period, has there been any impact at the society level in terms of maybe people coming together more, or in terms of the society being the society actually changing towards a more peaceful outcome?
Right. So actually, in our preliminary research, or the research itself about the post and the pre-test survey, that's 150 respondents, and 50 of them were the control group, and the 100% of them are the experimental group. So they've been exposed for at least 50 days from our campaign. They are undergoing some interventions and other programs that we've implemented. And for our experimental group, they were part of our interventions compared to our control group who are not. So from that case, we have seen a significant change to the attitudes, to the knowledge of our target audience, those who are participated in our program, which is the U Caravan, compared to our control group, who just shows a little improvement when it comes to their knowledge, attitude, the same and the behavior. And when it comes to impact, after we gathered the survey and after the 50 days of implementation of our project, we have seen virtually towards their social media platform, our target audience
posted very engaging posts, positive posts online, and I think we that itself shows that we made a very successful impact about that. For the second question, can you please repeat the second question?
Yes, the second question, I wanted to speak to a more broader level impact on society aside from the actual research group.
Right. So from the fact that IMN has been existing for 5 years, we have been targeted multiple audiences. We targeted mothers. We have targeted youth. We have targeted student leaders and civic-minded people. So from that, each term had different surveys and different strategies. And from that surveys, we have seen different changes also, depending on the term and objectives that we have.
Wonderful. Tedetsa, you are next, please.
Okay, thank you for your video. It was really professional. I'm so impressed. And I'm also, I have to admit that you are doing very important job. And for me, I just cannot imagine the situation in your region and the problem, how big it is. So I would like to ask you if there was some problem during your campaign, if there was some negative feedback or any problems, and how did you deal with that if there was something like that? Thank you.
I think one of the problems that we face, or most of the campaigns also face this problem, is how are we going to expand our campaign? Considering that we are in the pandemic, we cannot shift directly to what we traditionally do. So that's why we still more knowledge, global knowledge like EVP provide us to conduct these kinds and to give us another idea on how we're going to shift, especially online. And for that shifting into online, the challenges, aside from the expansion, we also often receive a red tagging since our climate here, the political climate in our area or in the country is not really that good. So from that political turmoil we're experiencing, from that red tagging itself, we counter them through our approaches, incapacitation, positive messaging, posting quality content in our social media accounts.
Wonderful. We've got time for 2 more questions, please.
So I just want to follow up, to your point that you made about red tagging. Are you here referring to the red tagging by the government with regards to the CPP, the Communist Party? And was that part of the program that part of the initial program that you guys sort of thought of, or this was an outcome of, what you see online and how people reacted to you?
Actually, this is actually a red tagging coming from the government, especially towards the CPP and the NPA organization, and it's been going on heavily, especially during this pandemic. It's not actually only about peace building or peace advocates that are red tagged. It's actually also including our, if you're familiar with the community pantries that arrived here in the Philippines. These people were advocating for people to have something to eat, and they themselves were red tagged. So it's really a very hard situation for us right now. But with IM Mindanao is very driven to provide this platform to speak up about the current status of the region and the country.
Wonderful. Thank you. Judges, any last question? I see no hands, but time for one more.
I can ask one. Thanks. I can ask one more question. Can you speak to your plans to scale this up? I know that this is Mindanao, focused on Mindanao, but there are various other societies around the world that have similar issues as Mindanao, Nigeria, Mali, Libya, and various other parts of the world. What plans or what possibilities are there perhaps to develop this into a sort of a modular sort of toolkit that can be deployed elsewhere?
Campaign expansion is always an exciting yet crucial aspect. After we decide on our specific campaign objectives per term, we list possible partners who can help us achieve our goals. And for this term, we have gathered
We have been able to partner with wonderful organizations and institutions who helped us really reach our target audiences. Then we communicate, after we determine our partners, then we communicate directly with them in writing, introducing our campaign, and telling them where and how they can come in the picture. As for this term, with the U Caravan, we were able to partner with institutions and have their students be our participants in our U Caravan, which is a workshop on really promoting positive messaging and promoting peace online and countering hate speech. As a campaign, we are ambitious in trying to reach many beneficiaries, one audience segment at a time. As we mentioned, we have been able to partner with mothers in the previous terms, with high schoolers, and with college students, and now with the online youth, as because they are perceived to be the most vulnerable, especially at this time of the pandemic. We want to reach even those outside of Mindanao. So we want to go beyond Mindanao. In fact, moving forward, we will be working with those out of school youth in the cause of engaging them to become community peace champions. And also, we also are seeking to scale on a global level. So actually, we shall partner with global institutions and organizations like the Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative and the U.S. Embassy, who we believe align with their advocacy of promoting peace.
Wonderful. Thank you for that final response. And I would like to just extend my heartfelt congratulations to a great campaign. Just remarkable. I think you can hear it. There's a consistent thread with all the judges, and hopefully the audience that's joining us live on YouTube, that a big wow for all three campaigns. I would like to also say thank you to these three teams who spent 8 months developing and working on the Facebook Global Digital Challenge. So congratulations to all. So now the hard part begins. You university teams, you made it look easy. Now the judges have work to do. So what they're going to do is go into a breakout room anywhere from 5, 6, 7 minutes, no more than 10. And based upon an eight different criteria, will score each of the three teams. They will come back and ultimately announce third place first, then second, and then who ultimately is the winner of this year's Facebook Global Digital Challenge. For those in the audience, I ask you to stay close to your screens because we will have a bumper slide and then we will come back. Viraj Doshi from Facebook, the policy manager, will be making some comments and then also making and presenting the actual awards. So everybody, see you soon, and judges, good luck. Welcome back, everyone. Now, having done this for many, many years, when it takes that long for the judges to deliberate and identify the winning order for three teams, it's not an easy decision. So I suspect this has been an extremely close competition, and I appreciate the audience, your participation as our judges discussed and scored each of the campaigns. So thank you very, very much. I would now like to invite Viraj Doshi, who is Facebook's policy manager, to please join us and provide some closing remarks to the students, the faculty, as well as to the audience. And then Viraj is actually going to announce the placement of the teams. Viraj, thanks for joining us, and please take it away.
Thank you, Tony. And I can confirm that the judges' deliberations was very challenging and kind of went back and forth. So just a kudos to the teams that participated today. Hi, everyone, to all the students, to the judges, to the faculty, to the audience, to EVP. Thank you again for joining. Like Tony said, my name's Viraj Doshi. I work on the policy team at Facebook, and I've been lucky to work on this project, the P2P Global Digital Challenge, in collaboration with EVP over the past few years. And like Tony said, I also had the honor of presenting the awards and the winners for today. But before I do that, I just want to give a couple of thanks. First, I just want to say thank you again to the judges who participated today. It was great to see some old faces, to meet some new faces, but just want to say thank you for your time and your expertise. I thought you all asked really challenging and probing questions that held the students' feet to the fire. And I think we learned a lot. And so just want to say thank you again to all of you and look forward to continuing to work with you in the future. I want to say thank you to the Adventure Partners team, the EVP team, Tony, Sean, Livia, Mary, the whole team. You guys are great partners on this project. And I know it took a lot of creativity and coordination to do this project this year, given very challenging circumstances. So thank you again. And Tony, thank you for moderating. I know that these virtual meetings are somewhat of a challenge always to keep people interested and keep people engaged, but I thought you did a great job. So thank you again to that whole team for pulling this together. And then lastly, but most importantly, I want to say thank you to the students and to the faculty from all the teams who participated this past year in the Global Digital Challenge in a very unique year under very challenging circumstances. At the beginning of this cycle, we had asked EVP to look at past participants to identify the best of the best. So who are past teams who had some really amazing campaigns in previous iterations of this, to see if we can invite those teams back and give them a little bit more time and a little bit more flexibility, and to see what sort of campaigns they can come up with those parameters. And based off the presentations today, I think the bar has been raised for future teams, which is great. So kudos to the three teams and the three universities who joined us today, not only for your work for this past year, but also for the presentations that you pulled together for today. They were incredibly professional and well done. And I know a lot of time and effort goes into that. And then I thought you guys did a great job answering a lot of the challenging questions that the judges asked you as well. So again, thank you to everyone, especially the students and faculty. You are all the reason why this program has been, is, and will continue to be successful in the future. So with that, I have the responsibility for announcing the winners for today. So I'll do that in kind of descending order. We'll give a quick pause. And then at the end, we'll ask the first team winners to turn on their videos. So with third place, the third place award goes to Baba Ghulam University. So congratulations to you all. Thank you again for all of your incredible work in your campaign for this past year. Second place is going to Xavier University. Again, thank you for your hard work. It was an incredible campaign that you all put together. And you know, all the judges were extremely impressed by the work that you guys did. And so the news should be obvious now, but with first place, that the first place award for the 2021 P2P challenge goes to Ankara University. So congratulations to Ankara University, to the students, to the faculty, everyone who participated. It was just a phenomenal job. The judges love your campaign. I love your campaign. Yeah, just really phenomenal work. And thank you all again to the 3 participating teams and everyone who made today happen.
Great, thank you, Biraj. And I just want to pick up on an important comment that Biraj made. The bar has been raised is an understatement. It seems whenever we do this, we're always saying that, this time even more so. You are digital natives that know your communities and are really best served to help solve some of the world's biggest problems. And you did it. You are making a tangible difference. So thank you from Facebook, thank you from Adventure Partners, and really thanks, humanity thanks you for what you're doing. Your local communities thank you as well. So audience, without you, we wouldn't have the show. So I want to really, we appreciate you carving precious time out of your day to join the university students and to see how they have identified how to deal with some of these important issues in their respective countries and communities, because it's local. Everything is local when it comes to the Facebook Global Digital Challenge. I'd also like to thank the other teams that are not on the podium today, but worked equally as hard in developing campaigns to address targeted violence and hate and extremist recruitment and all some of the social ills that we face. And again, congratulations to our first place team, Ankara University, well deserved. Biraj and Nawab from Facebook, without you, it would not happen. So thank you very, very much. And I would like to also extend my personal thanks to Olivia Hawk and Mary Scheer from Adventure Partners, who worked on a daily basis, if need be, very skillfully and with great dedication, working with the students and the faculty. So with that final comment, this concludes this year's Facebook Global Digital Challenge and event. And we look forward to the opportunity of seeing and partnering with you in the future. Thank you again. Goodbye.
Thank you so much again. We want to say something. Alaf project is so good, and I hope Alaf project is very wonderful in the future time. Thanks for Facebook. Thanks for every project. I love you so much. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Congratulations to all the teams. Goodbye.